What happened for me? Well, I knew that things were bad in my family. There's simply no question of that. There was no doubt in my mind that my family was not like other families and so on. And as I've mentioned before, my mother was institutionalized when I was in my teens. My brother and I worked very hard to get her out of the house. When she was put back in the house by the wonderful authorities who were taking such good care of us, dumped my insane mother back among my brother and I to struggle through the remainder of our teenage years as best we could. And what we ended up having to do was basically got her interested in taking some training courses out in British Columbia. We packed her on a bus and away she went, and she was gone for about a year, which was a wonderful time, just a wonderful time. After the stress and strain of growing up with this crazy lunatic, and I don't just mean my brother, getting her out of the house for permanently was a wonderful thing, and it was very relaxing, and the idyllic state lasted for about a year, maybe 14 months, and then she just sort of phoned, and she was over at the mall. She'd made her way back from BC, and we then got her a place, got her on disability. She'd been on disability for a number of years at this, actually about a year and a half at this point. And so we sort of set her up shop in a rent-controlled apartment. It's not too far from where we lived, and then I went away to university. I didn't see her very often. She came to visit me once when I was in the National Theatre School in Montreal. I lived in Montreal for about 4 years, doing 2 years of National Theatre School acting and playwriting and fencing. And then I went to McGill to study history so that I could be roundly insulted by everybody who thinks that I have no experience or training in history. I did then 2 years of history at McGill, which picked up a good chunk of history that I took earlier at York under my English degree, and then I finished my history master's at U of T in the early 90s. So, well, I stayed with my mother then for, after I graduated from McGill, the economy was just in a terrible, terrible shape. I couldn't get a job as a waiter, I couldn't get a job doing anything, and I've mentioned this once before, so just for those who may have forgotten all of the intricate and fascinating details of my life, there's a reminder. And so I stayed with my mother for about a year in her little apartment. I stayed with my brother for a little while, and then stayed with my mother. Now, fortunately, she went and moved to Ottawa and stayed in some shelters there for a while, and which was a huge relief for me, of course, just a wonderful thing. So I only stayed with her for a couple of months, and then she moved, went to Ottawa, lived there for about a year in a variety of locations.